بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. This is the third session of the Aqidah Tahawiyyah. MashaAllah, we have new faces coming after a while, Omar and Muhammad. So I'm going to go over some points before we, inshallah, move to our class. So what we are studying is Aqidah, and Aqidah means what is in your heart and you believe firmly in it. This is Aqidah. Aqidah, the faith, Muslims, what Muslims should believe in. And this is Aqidah. Aqidah is like you're like tying something. You have a rope and then you have a knot. This is Aqidah, something that is very firm, like tightened. This is Aqidah, linguistic meaning, and the religious meaning means what we believe in. So it is the theology, or it is the creed. Sometimes we call it the Aqidah, and we call it sometimes the fiqh, even the principles of fiqh, they call it in the past, or the major fiqh, the canon, the theology of Muslims. Yeah, let me go over what we covered in the past. Difference between aqidah and fiqh and aqidah and iman. So aqidah, we said what is firmly in our hearts, what we believe in. Yeah. So fiqh is related to what? Rules and regulations, like how to perform salah, what to say after recite al-Fatiha, how to make wudu. This is practical. Okay? One of the pillars of Islam, you know them, the five pillars of Islam related to the fiqh in general, while the aqidah is related to the articles of faith. Okay, to believe in Allah, His malaika, His books, His prophets, and the day of judgment, and the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Aqidah and iman. We hear always iman, faith, and aqidah. What is the difference?
Uh, like believe in Allah.
Okay.
That's
The faith is to believe in Allah.
Yeah. Like have a trust in.
Okay, so the aqidah is kind of the theory that you have in your brain, and the impact of that in your heart and in your limbs is the iman. So the aqidah is a quick thing. We can finish it in just 1 week, al-aqidah. But to implement that aqidah in your life will take a while. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. Example, we know that we should perform the salah always, right? This is knowledge, it's information. Muslims must perform salah. Okay, Muslims must be humble when they perform salah and focused, right? This is unique information. Now, how long it will take from you to achieve that? It's a while sometimes, right? To achieve that. Maybe you reach it in Ramadan when your spiritual feeling is very strong and powerful. So the aqidah is kind of the theory and the iman is the practice. Allah is Ar-Razzaq. Allah is the one who provides. Allah is the one who controls the universe. And nothing happens except what He permits. Even if somebody intends to do something harm to you, to harm you, he cannot unless if Allah permits. All of these are matters of aqidah, information in your brain. Okay, now if you're stuck in a situation and it's difficult for you, will you fear other people? If you don't have a job and nobody supports you, will you believe that Allah is the one who provides and He's the provider? Razaq. So that takes a little bit of force. And it comes through salah, through ibadah, fasting, through other types of ibadah. So that the information that you have in your brain comes in your heart and in reality. Okay, we talked about the three components of us as humans. Okay, Allah created us. These are the components. Number one, this is the body that Allah gave us, right? Number two, the brain and reasoning, intellect. Number three, the spiritual or the ruh or the soul. What is the food of the body? What is the food of the body? Pizza, all the food, right? Pizza, chicken, all of that is the food for the body. What is the food for the brain? It is knowledge, including the aqidah, right? Including the aqidah. That is like in your brain. This is the feed, and there is like the love of knowing, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us as humans with that curiosity, right? You're not since you if you have a little kid in front of you, always you find that kid digging for something and looking for something to learn. That curiosity is how humans like developed, how humans like invented. Curiosity, you want to know. Sometimes you want to know. You're like where your brother like has gone. Sometimes you want to see like how this machine works or how that works. What does that word mean or what does that mean? If there is a conversation around you and people are talking about certain things, you feel uneasy unless you know what they're talking about, and you might ask questions, right? So all of that is related to the brain. Okay, what is the third component of us as humans? Is the ruh, our soul, our spirit. What is the food of that? To feed it. This is all of the Islam, the religion, the revelation that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can you turn off your mic, Neem? Now, what happens in this world nowadays, there are some people who claim they are not following any religion. But their soul, their spirit, their soul or spirit or ruh, like stays hungry. Stays hungry, and there must be a food for it. So you'll find them nowadays. Do you notice anything in movies nowadays? People are more interested sometimes in supernatural things and the creatures. Do you notice that in the latest? Like, okay, what you call it, the Harry Potter, the Lord of the Rings, all of these fantasy things, Superman, Spider-Man, something that goes beyond a human's capacity as a human. And the Game of Thrones and other spirituals. So because they don't have religion, you'll find some other things that are connected somehow to something beyond the human's capacity. Either you fulfill, because your ruh, your spirit always is in need. It needs food, it needs something to, it is hungry for something, it's thirsty for something. If you don't do it through the wahi, then you end up doing it in the wrong way. And you can see how some people would worship something else, but not Allah, right? When they're not guided. Native Americans have their own religions, Voodoos in Africa. One time in the prison, I met somebody like Voodoo, believe in supernatural. Some people worship the jinn, right? Some people would worship, like idols, believing that they have a special power or some spiritual things. So our body needs food, our brain needs knowledge and food, and our ruh, the spiritual part, needs Islam and Iman to come. And if you don't fulfill it in the right way, you end up in the wrong way. Drugs give people sometimes kind of temporary solution, not always. Temporary solution for that thing. I don't encourage you to. It's very dangerous, drugs, right? But I mean, many of the people who don't have their spiritual part is not fulfilled, they go to the drugs. The drugs, give them, like a little bit something that they like, they feel a little bit, like a certain way. But the problem is, with their brain and what comes after that, the consequences on their body. So it is dangerous and it's forbidden. So you must have a spiritual thing in your life. And alhamdulillah, Allah made it easy for us. We know that Allah created us where we are going to. We have malaika, we have angels, things that we cannot see, and we'll go to the next life and we'll be rewarded. That will make us, alhamdulillah, at peace. Because that part of our body is fulfilled. Okay? Because nowadays the atheism is increasing in America, right? Expect more sorcery, more supernatural voodoos or whatever fantasies, to come in the future. Expect that. More on the TV, more in the culture. You might find the friends, around you in the school, believing some weird things, Depends that some people believe, like that energies in something that they are wearing, energy in rocks, energies and other that, because their spiritual part is missing something. They try to fill it with something wrong. Okay? The religion is a natural need for a human. Okay. So the aqidah that we are studying is related to the brain, but will have impact on our soul and spirit. I gave a khutbah about that. That the increase of atheism means increase in other fulfillment of the need of the spirit and the ruh, and in the wrong way. Okay. I guess maybe everybody here, watch some movie. Did you watch, Lord of the Ring or, Game of the Throne or Harry Potter or Superman or Spider-Man? Anything that goes beyond the humans, capacity. I watched some of them. A part of it is my study. I studied, as you know, literature and novels, all of that is a part of my study. I took, a whole course about movies and films, modern. Modernism in movies and films. Okay. The text that we are studying has been authored by Imam Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi. And Imam Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi lived around 230 years, was born after the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He lived with the early scholars of hadith. He studied before Imam Nasai, Abu Dawud. He studied before the early scholars. And what is special about this book? It is very comprehensive and summarizes this, this is in English and in Arabic here. So this book is very comprehensive and tells us almost the details of what we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Muslims accepted it. Did the Sahaba list all of that in details? Did the Sahaba list all of that? No, it was not. It was just scattered in the Quran, the ayat in the Quran, because Quran has unique style. It talks about morality, for example, how people should be truthful, should be good, at the same time believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is so those scholars, they did all of the ayat and all of the hadith, they try to make just one text. Okay, and this is something natural. All types of knowledge of Islam developed in this way. The science of hadith developed in that way, of Arabic language, fiqh, all of that developed in the same way. Sahaba did not do all of that in this way. Nowadays we have schools, we have universities. If you want to even to study Quran and Islamic studies, you have to go to certain finish your bachelor, right? High school and bachelor. All of these are natural development just to organize, make things more accessible and easy. Sounds good? So why this text Tahawiyyah is important? Why? Why you are studying it? We talked about the importance of Aqidah, but why specifically this Tahawiyyah? Simplify all the information. Instead of I start with first ayah from the Quran all the way to the very end, it's just all of them in just around 12 pages, okay? Simplify and organizing. What else? Easy to understand, simplified, organized. What else? That's good. What else? Huh? Focusing on the details that were not discussed by the Sahaba and the Messenger sallallahu focus on, but drawing on them. What else? It's very early to the Messenger sallallahu, very early, earliest generation. Okay, it's very early to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What else? Did the Ummah, all Muslim scholars, accept it? It is accepted by all Muslim scholars. Imam Tahawi, when he authored this one, people, wow, this is good job. Everybody accept. There are some good textbooks, and sometimes you have some textbooks that are not good or missing something. So the Imam Tahawi, when he put this book, all the scholars say this is good. We agree on all of that. Imam Tahawi was Shafi'i in the details. Then after that, he shifted to Hanafi madhab. We mentioned that the madhab is in the major things or details. Details. Can you escape a madhab? You cannot escape. If you are not following Imam Shafi'i, you will be ending up you're not following me, because if you have a question, Sheikh Hamid, what will happen if I do that or that? The details, I'll give you the opinion. Then I'll go and check the scholars and tell you the answer. Or you can go and Google it. You end up following a madhab. You are not able to go to the details. Okay? We are not able to go to the details. For example, let me tell you something about the details. Every one of you knows how to make wudu, right? Okay. Imagine that you are washing your hands, then after that your hair, you are wiping over your hair. Remember that you did not rinse your mouth. What to do? What to do? Now the Messenger ﷺ did not talk about these details. You end up following a madhab. You end up following a madhab. A scholar tells you what to do. Some details. Okay, or you wash your hands before your face. Imagine you wash your hands and wudu before your face. Should be face before wudu, hands, right? So you have to go and check. According to Shafi'i madhab, what to do? Is the order important in Shafi'i madhab and wudu? And Shafi'i madhab says yes, you must go back and do your face, then do your hands. And Hanafi madhab will tell you keep going because the order is not important. Does that mean, okay, is it clear? What does it mean? Madhab? Madhab in the details. Nobody can escape it. Nobody can live his life without following its scholars. Yes.
What if all different madhabs and different...
This is the preference, what we call it the preference. If you are honest, you can follow, any sheikh that you relax or any madhab. But we don't want people, to pick and choose, and confuse religion. Okay. Uh, okay. What is madhab? We don't want to go so much in the madhab. Okay, what is special about Tahawiyyah? Okay, we started last time and we concluded the class with the rational approach. And we talked about the rational judgments of the brain. The easiest way to know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes through the easiest way and the best way. Through Quran. Number two, through Hadith. This is the easiest way. If you want to teach directly the point, just go to the Quran and to the Sunnah directly. But because people sometimes forget and don't have the time to read all of the Quran, they need a text like that, somebody who summarizes. Okay, this is an approach. Now, among the approaches and the tools that were invented in our religion and our history is the rational approach. The rational approach is not to use the Quran and the Sunnah, but to use your brain. This is very important for you guys when you go to college and high school. Because if you want to talk to somebody about the Quran and he says, "Oh, I don't believe in the Quran," you're like, "Tell me about." You want to use your logic and your brain to prove to him that his faith is wrong and Islam is true. This is the rational approach. Was it recommended in the early Islam? Was it recommended? There was no need for it. Arabs were very simple life. Just recite to them Ayatul Kursi and Qul Huwallahu Ahad, and they will understand it, and that's it. But Muslims mix with other cultures, and more questions. People started coming. You're like, "Does your Lord, do that or that?" You're like, how he does that and how he does that? And one of the earliest questions was asked to Imam Malik ibn Anas. It was 3 generations after the Messenger. One time, somebody came to him and he said, "Oh, Imam Malik, Allah says in the Quran, ثم استوى على العرش." Allah استوى on the throne. What does that mean? How? Imam Malik, he was shocked with the question. Nobody thought, nobody even imagined that somebody will ask a question. So Imam Malik, looked at the ground a little bit. His face became angry, red, and he became angry. Then he said, "Istiwa is known in Arabic language. To ask about it, or to know exactly how, we don't know. And to ask about it is bid'ah. Nobody should do it." Get him out of the masjid. He kicked him out of the masjid. He doesn't want people to go in such details. Okay? Istiwa has different meanings. In Arabic language, it means full control, and it means sitting. It has different meanings. So Imam Malik says you should not ask about this question, about the details. Okay? So in the beginning, the scholars were against going in some details that nowadays in this text and nowadays in our life we are discussing with the Christians and others. Okay, the best approach is the Quran. It is direct, it is easy, it is focused on the basics. It can be used in the khutbah and with lay Muslims, ordinary Muslims. If I give khutbah al-Jum'ah in the masjid, I would not go in the details that I'll be discussing with you. Okay? For ordinary people, usually they doesn't come to their mind some of the details. But you, when you are youth at the college, some of these questions you will hear or you will think about it. I remember a Saudi student was here. He was studying PhD, nano something or something very advanced in science. And his daughter was to public school and she asked him some question. And what if there is another God? What if there's a God before Allah who created him? Then there was another one before him. Like that, these questions. And as a father, although he has PhD, he did not know how to answer. So he brought his daughter, to the masjid. Hey, Sheikh, can you answer some of these questions that my daughter has? He asked me first. So on Khutbah al-Jum'ah, when I give a public lecture to people, we're not going to use rational things. We stick to Ayat al-Kursi and Qul Huwallahu Ahad. Muslims in the past, the early generations, they say nobody should use any rational. Just stick to the Quran Sunnah, don't use any rational. So Imam Shafi and the previous scholars, they were against. But there was a need with the development of the brain of the humans and new Muslims. Some Muslims came from India. Some Muslims came from Persian culture background. Some Muslims came from the Byzantine culture. They have different ideas about God. Is it possible that God, can come as a human like Jesus or something? Or then Muslims, have to put some no, he's not to be born. I'm not convinced. How possible? What if it is possible? Muslims try to put some resolutions and some answers to these questions. Okay, some of them, okay, we discussed this last time. The rational judgments. These are the foundations of rational judgments that will help you in the future argue with others. If you know them, if you master them, you'll be good and strong in your logic when you argue with somebody else. This is the simplified version, and this is a little bit like an advanced. So anything, whenever you discuss with somebody, you say, okay, anything in this world, either it is obligatory, it is a must, or it is impossible, or it is maybe. These are the rational judgment. For example, like this is water, right? Shall I drink it, or am I going to drink it or not? You say it is possible, right? It is maybe I'll drink it, maybe I'll not. Or maybe I'll finish it today and maybe I'll not. Okay. Now, is it possible that Yusuf is sitting with us now and at home at the same time?
No.
Is staying still, moving at the same time? It's impossible. Either he's moving or he's staying still. Okay, your finger, either staying still or you are moving your finger. Okay, so you say, like, it is impossible to have both of them at the same time. Okay, then if you remember, we talked about the obligatory, something that always must be that. You have a bar of chocolate and you break a piece and you give it to a kid. Which part you will take, the big or the small? You will take the big. With the big, the whole bar is bigger than the part, the piece, right? So this is rational judgment. Must be that way. Must be that way. But the whole usually is bigger than the small. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay, this is something absolute. Like rational people around the world, they must believe that this is like the right judgment in it. You can apply these rules to anything in the world. Okay, so the 3 rational judgments. Number 1. Okay, let me. First one is wajib, not the homework, not wajib and salah, means the obligatory, must be that way, must exist, must be true in this way. The second one is al-mustahil, impossible to happen. The third one is al-jaiz, is the possible, might be this or that. Okay, if you need a little bit, like advanced definition, like wajib, the obligatory thing is the brain will not accept that doesn't exist. For example, the existence of Allah. Allah exists. If you use your brain rationally, you must believe that there is a super entity that created the world and controls everything. You use it rationally. A part of that we'll study a little bit about it, how to prove that. It must be that way. It must be that way. This is obligatory. We say the existence of Allah is obligatory, is wajib. The existence of Allah is wajib. In your brain, if you rationally think, it doesn't work that, oh, he doesn't exist. It doesn't work. Allah is a must, and he must be there, and there is a God. This is the obligatory ruling, the wajib. Similar to that, what I said, that, like, for example, the piece or the part is smaller than the whole, or the whole is bigger than part, or 1 plus 1 equals 2. Or the group, you are a group of people, right? For a group of people, you are more than an individual in number. Your number as a group is bigger than an individual. Does that make sense? You can like mention other things. Possible, anything possible. Is your father now sitting or standing at home without seeing him? You say it is possible that he is standing or sitting. This is possible and this is possible. So this is jaiz. This is jaiz. Can your father be sitting, for example, or sleeping and awake at the same time? Say this is what? Mustahil. It is impossible. Either he's sleeping or he's awake. Finally, either he's realizing people seeing them around him or not. Somebody is dead or alive. So these are rational things like that we can use in this. Practice for you. Practice for you. Everything that changes around you, everything that changes from place to place, from something to something in the world, must have a doer or a creator. For example, This plastic was before it became like water bottle. What was it? Plastic. It was raw material, right? Either oil or something, right? Now, because it changed from a raw material into this one, or this table from a raw material in this one, there must be something that made it, either a machine or a human or anything. Agree? So anything that changes must have a doer. So Yusuf sitting here, if he moves there, then there is something that moved him. His brain taking a decision, then his legs, walking from here to there. Somebody carries him to there. Must be a doer. Okay? When you change your hand is here, and you change it, you put it here, there must be something, a doer, something that did it. When you put on your clothing, or your clothing, your shirt was in the closet, and it became on your body. Somebody did it. You agree? Now, since the universe, all of this universe that we have around us consists of many variables, many things that change, we conclude that there must be a doer or a creator for it. Okay? Let me give you an example. We are sitting here, and this door is open, and out of a sudden, a ball rolls inside the room. A ball rolls inside the room. All of us will believe that somebody rolled it in, right? Logically speaking, like all of us, because it changed its place from somewhere else, this room. Does it come to your mind that it moved by itself? Does it come to your mind? If you are walking somewhere and you find a phone on the ground or something else, do you think, does it come to your mind that it came by itself, this phone, especially sophisticated things? No, there must be something. I mentioned the story of Abu Hanifa. You remember I mentioned that in the beginning. When some people claim that there is no creator for this universe, and Abu Hanifa said, okay, I'm ready to argue with you and to prove that you are wrong. And he set a time. Intentionally, when all people were waiting, Abu Hanifa arrived late. And all the time, just before he arrived, a non-Muslim, he says, look, your main scholar is defeated. He's scared. He's not showing up. Abu Hanifa showed up. And when they asked him about it, he wanted now to use logic. Abu Hanifa was a person of logic. So he said, you know what? I was coming on time when I wanted to cross the river Euphrates or Tigris in Iraq. He said, when I wanted to cross the river, unfortunately, there was no boat and no one to carry me. Usually they have some people would carry for some pennies. Then I noticed that there was an old boat with all of the boards and woods are scattered around. Then out of a sudden they started getting along together, getting along. Then the board was fixed by itself. Then it came near me. Just I jumped in it and it took me to the other side without doing anything. And the leader of those people said, look what your scholar is saying. Look, what a big lie you are saying. And he says, you cannot believe that a small boat fixes itself. You claim that the entire universe, all of these complications and the trees and animals and the humans, made it itself. It is impossible. So as Muslim, this is what we say, the combination. If you look at the eye of a human and seeing the details of the eye, there are people who have eyes, but they cannot distinguish between colors. You know that, right? There are some people who have eyes, but they have some weakness, like me wearing glasses. People who have eyes, but they cannot see. Still, who makes that eye sees? And all of that image, and it goes back to the lens flipped outside down, then it goes to the nerve, and then after that analyzing the brain and comes back. Wow, subhanallah. Who created all of that mechanism of seeing, mechanism of digesting, etc. If you study in science, the human being, the fetus in his mother's womb or belly, right? What connects him? Where does he get his food from? Cord, right? Umbilical cord. It comes. It brings food. What about his waist? Where does it go? Nothing amazing. And he's in a liquid. He's in a liquid, right? He's in a liquid, right? That liquid doesn't come inside his nose to his lungs or his body from his ears. Now, if you throw in a swimming pool or something, oh, It will be like dangerous, because of the water. If you don't do anything, you're like probably you'll have water coming inside your mouth. Or the fetus is living there peacefully, food coming, waste comes out. All of the food comes exactly from his mother. Some of that food will go to his eyes. Some of that food will go to his bones. Some of that food will go to his stomach to develop and to grow. Everything is well balanced. Isn't that amazing? So this is when you say like you cannot believe that a ball will roll in, or you find like a cell phone, saying like nobody created it. Then we say like a human being or a fetus, very sophisticated and complicated, that is impossible that it creates itself. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. So this is one of the basic logic that we use as Muslims. Everything changes around us must have a doer. Since the word, the combination of many things, then there must be a creator. Okay. Two gods to run the world is impossible. Prove that. Let me push it down and see. Based on the rulings, wajib obligatory, and mustahil impossible, and jaiz. I have to prove to somebody that two gods to run the world is not correct.
The definition of God is one who controls everything.
Okay, so one of those gods will say, okay, you control that part of the world and I control this part of the universe.
They're gonna argue.
So continue, that's correct. Continue.
If
Yeah.
there's two gods and one of God will be limited.
One of them, this is continuing what Uthman says. So if somebody says God, one of them, suppose that one of them says, I control the earth, the other says, I control other planets. So the one who's controlling the earth, not control the other ones. The one who's controlling other planets and stars, he cannot, and galaxies, is not controlling the earth. So that one is limited in his power, and this one is limited in his power. So this is what Uthman said. It's impossible for a God to be limited. That means absolute, and he cannot be limited anyway. He can do whatever he wants. Or what if they have an agreement? I create you today and you create tomorrow. Will they agree on everything? Is it possible that they agree on everything? There is a war and both gods agree that this one should. Somebody wants somebody to stand up and allow him to stand up. The other says no. Somebody wants that to live. The other one says no, I want him to die. Someone says I need that fruit to grow on that tree. The other says no, I don't want it. This is impossible to agree on every detail. And finally, they will fight. You see, around you in the world, people usually, they keep pushing back and forth. Everybody wants to expand his territory and to take more power, and all right, people cannot. No, two kings in the same country, two presidents in the same country, it doesn't work. Two heads in the same. This is possible also to have two gods that who are doing the same thing, and everybody does whatever he wants. Okay, another example. Oh, what we said here, it is impossible. All right, impossible, because God is not limited. And a God means the one who is not limited. Okay, another thing for you. Prove logically, Jesus is not a God. Using this rational. Don't quote any ayah or hadith. For Muslims, they will understand that ayah hadith. I'm not Muslim. So can you use this rational judgment to tell him that Jesus is not a God?
Has been killed.
Has been killed, so what does it mean? So how is it connected to one of these? Which one is connected to? Is it possible that a God dies? Is it possible that a God dies? No. For a God, it is impossible for a God, to. And the God must be always there. Okay, so this is one of the things. But it is impossible to say a God and he is killed. The concept of God in your brain is not correct. God is the one who has the absolute power. No one can kill him. No one can harm him. What else? Had a mother, so he has a beginning, right? He has a beginning. So God, is unlimited. He doesn't have any beginning in any way. Okay, what else?
They say he was the Christians.
Okay, so is it possible, obligatory, that the God must be punished, or impossible for a God to be punished, or it is maybe? It is impossible. You say it is impossible. It is impossible. Your concept of God is a little bit, is not clear in your mind. You check, God means, somebody who is not, tortured. Nobody can harm him. He's the all-powerful. Okay, another one for you. Can God create a rock that cannot be carried? He cannot carry. So yeah, this is what we say. You know, like he can do everything. So can he create, you know, like big rock? That is what, you know, big rock that he cannot carry. What do you think?
Create the rock. Not like us humans, we're not very-
Okay. The
So,
question is wrong. You are talking about here cannot, which is impossible, right? Impossible to happen to God. God, you know, has the absolute power, right? Impossible. So when you say, you know, it is impossible for him not to do something, then here, you know, you say it is possible. So impossible and possible. You are mixing, you know, two the rational, you know, rulings. It is like saying that Yusuf is here, and you say, oh, is it possible that Yusuf is at home, here at the same time? You're like, you know, like here and there, you know, like at the same time. You're like either here or there. You know, here you see, you know, like either, you know, your question, you say that God, you know, cannot do something which is impossible, or that he can do whatever he wants, which is, you know, like obligatory, that he does whatever he wants. Attack the question itself, not other questions. Anyhow, we go deeper a little bit, or just quickly. All of that was covered before. Something new. Okay. Starting with the Tawheed and the Fitrah and with the text, Bismillah. This is what Imam Tahawi says. Bismillah. Who would like to read the first article here? Bismillah. That's Musa.
We say about the faith of Allah, monotheism, believing in Allah's help, that Allah is one without any parents.
Without any
Partners.
partners or parents also. Partners. Okay. So Imam Tahawi said this is like the belief of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Then he says we say about the Tawheed of Allah. What does it mean, Tawheed? This is Qul huwa Allahu Ahad. What is the difference between Wahid speakers, Arabic speakers? We have Wahid and we have Ahad. So what is the difference between the two? Ah, Wahid is a number.
How did it apply?
When my dad says Yom al
Okay, the day of Sunday, yes. So what is the linguistic meaning of Ahad? Why are you saying like this day is Ahad? Yes. Okay. It means, you know, like one and only one, unique. Nothing is like it. So one, Yusuf is one, and Uthman is one, and I am one. When you say somebody is very unique, and this is why they were very angry with Bilal bin Rabah. You remember the Qurayshi people when they would bash Bilal, put him, you know, like, and he would say Ahad, right? He would say, you know, like Ahad, Ahadun Ahad. Means, you know, like Allah is the only one. Okay, only God. It's not, you know, like others. You know, if he says, you know, like Allah is one, they say, you know, like, okay, we have other, you know, gods. So Qul huwa Allahu Ahad. Say Allah is the only God, one and the only one, unique, and nobody is like him. Okay. Monotheism. What is the opposite of monotheism? Polytheism. Okay, so we believe in Allah, monotheism as the only, believing in Allah's help and as He is the one, only God subhanahu wa ta'ala, without any partners. So one in what sense? In what sense Allah is one?
Nothing else like.
Nothing like Him.
Nothing before him.
Nothing before Him. Yes.
doesn't need any help.
Doesn't need any help.
He does not begin right
No beginning, no end. And
It's not look like his creature.
not like His creatures. Okay. Anyway. Okay, what else?
Partners, no partners, no
Huh?
parents, and no children.
So scholars say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one. It should be the right one. Bismillah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unique in being the only God Okay, this is what we say, his rububiyyah as a Rabb, and in uluhiyyah, ilah, and in his names and attributes. Names, attributes. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only Rabb. What does that mean? And Allah is the only Ilah. Say La ilaha, right? La ilaha. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unique in his asma wa sifat. Asma wa sifat. What is the difference between the first two? Allah is the only Rabb, so he's one as a Rabb. And number two, he's one as a Ilah. And number three, one with his names and attributes. Okay, I want you, Yusuf, Musa, Muhammad, Umar, Abdullah, one group to discuss differences. And Abdul Rahman, Uthman, Shahrayar, and Maher to discuss. What are the differences? What is the difference? Allah is one as a Rabb, Allah is one as Ilah, Allah is one in his names and attributes. Asma wa sifat. Okay, to make it easy for you, as a Lord, Rad means as a Lord. Allah is one as a Lord. And La as a God. And Asma Sifat, his names and attributes. What is the difference between the first two? Allah is the only Lord and Allah is the only God. Allah is the only Rabb. Allah is the only Ilah. What's the difference between Rabb? Okay, you know in Surah Al-Nas, أعوذ بربي الناس رب, right? قل أعوذ برب الناس. ملكي, Malik, الناس. Then إله, إله الناس. So you have Rabb, you have Malik, you have Ilah. That's good. What is the difference? Allah is Rabb الناس and Ilah الناس. He is the Lord of mankind. He is the Ilah, the God of mankind. What is the difference between them? Try to find it.
Oh, sorry.
Lord has to be more like a king.
Lord,
The second ayah is Malik al-Nas. This is Malik, king. Second one, second ayah. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس. This is Malik. Malik is a king. So this is the difference between Rabb and Ilah.
I like a certain one. There can be more than one.
Oh, okay, okay. Close.
God has to have a wedding of God.
Yeah, I know.
The first one more accurate. Yes.
There can be more than one.
Ah, Lord is in charge. Okay. And Ilah. God.
In the
Okay. That group. Bismillah. Let us see what they have. What is the difference between Rabb, Lord, and Ilah, God? Listen to their answers and tell me if you agree. Yes, go ahead.
So, Lord is like, God is like, what he traveled.
Okay, so the first one is ruling over everything,
Yeah.
and the second one is doing whatever you want. Okay,
Like you can create stuff, make.
this is the first or the second? The second. Okay. Okay. What if I say the Lord is related to creating and running the universe and everything he wants? The second one is to be worshipped. Is that easy? So Ilah, God, is the thing that you worship. Okay? So the thing that you worship is a God. Is it possible that somebody is worshiping something while he doesn't believe that it created heavens and earth and the universe? Is it possible that somebody doesn't believe that Allah created or somebody created something, but still they worship it? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Now, when somebody devotes all of his life to his job, without saying I worship it, without saying like I worship it, but what his job dictates, he obeys. Whatever his job requires of him, he does it. He's devoting himself completely. This is a type of worship. The idols of Quraysh, they would worship the idols, but when the people of Quraysh were asked, did you worship who created heavens and earth? They say, like Allah. They say Allah. They believe that Allah created heavens and earth. So it's not about creating. Lord means creating. Rabb, the one who creates, the one who runs, he does whatever he wants. The second one, he is the one who is worthy of worship. He is the one who is worshipped by people. Asma and sifat, these are his descriptions and his features. Features, description, and characteristics. Sounds good? Is it clear here? So when we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only God, is the only one, we say he is the only creator and runs the universe, the only one to worship, and to him belongs all good names and attributes. Allah is Akbar. Allah is Samia, is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. So this is his description. You describe Allah. We have 99 names. That is the third part of monotheism. Okay, this is the names, features, and Allah, telling us about Allah. He is Maliki Yawmiddin. He's Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. He's all powerful. He is all of that. Who created heavens and earth? The first one. It is Allah. Who we should worship should be the last one. The second one. Allah is the Ilah. Are you with me? Tired with that? A little bit dry, right? I mentioned that before. The Aqidah, because it is intellectual thing, is intellectual, a little bit like it is dry, but it's very important for you, like in the future, to know and to distinguish between this and this. Okay, what's wrong? What's wrong of somebody going to a grave? What's wrong with somebody going to a grave and worshiping the grave? That's shirk. What is the problem? Is it in the first one, second one, third one? So that guy, if you ask him, did person create heavens and earth? They would say no. Okay, why you are worshiping? Is the mistake. Oh, I'm worshiping because such and such. Also, a little bit mistakes in the description of God. Maybe they have misunderstanding about God. Maybe they think that he's the one who is in that grave, or has a part of him in that grave, or is spiritually connected to that grave. So they have some mistakes about the attributes of Allah and describing him. Mainly, it is the most dangerous part is this one, the worship. Which one comes first? One comes first and you build on it? If you want to prove to somebody, which one comes first? First one. First one, as Allah created and runs the world. As a result, you worship him and you don't worship anyone else. The first step is the first one. Allah is أقول أعوذ برب الناس. رب الناس, the one who created mankind, the Lord of mankind, who created them and created the universe. Then Ilah al-Nas is the God who should, Malik al-Nas description, Ilah al-Nas, then you must worship him. Okay, no partners. Told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we mentioned that if there are two or three. Okay, is it possible, the last thing, is it possible that Allah has somebody who created him before?
No.
Then somebody, why? Huh?
The beginning, no end.
He has a beginning. What is the problem? If there is another God who was before him, then another God who before him. How would you prove that logically that this is wrong? Only one God, okay. So always there is one, but he dies, then he creates somebody, then he dies. Like a father and son. You know, like your father after a while dies, your grandfather dies, then new one.
For God to be created, that means the other one needed him to be created. For God to be needed, that's not one of his attributes.
Allah is Samad, right? Allah is self-sufficient. And this is one of the old philosophical ideas that always there was a God who created another God, he created another God. If that is the case, they say it is infinity, unlimited. If that is the case, this world will never come to an exist. Right? Because who's the first God? If you say like there is another one, there is another one. This world will not come to exist, will never come to exist without having somebody to start this chain of gods, right? Because you know, like somebody must be at the very beginning in order to create the next God, right? And if there is no one you like to create in the beginning, because he said there is someone before him, there's somebody before, we keep going in infinity, then there is no limit. Give the first order, and we say you know, this universe will not be existing at all if that happens.
What if like they don't believe in God? They just believe like in some person who created everything. Then he died. Then his son.
This is the idea what I'm saying, that there must be the old philosophical idea that there was a God, and before him there was another one, another God. You're not like that. With infinity, they say. We tell them always. We say, is there a limit? If they say, yeah, there is a limit, we tell them, okay, let us stop here. The first one who initiated all of this is the first one is the God, because he has the power to create, you know, something big, another God or the universe. Then we start talking about the attributes of that God. But if they say no, there is no limit, we say, okay, what next? They say, you know, like another God was created. Then before it, there was another one. Well, we say, okay, how long? They say infinity. We say this universe and this God that you are talking about will never come to an exist. Will never exist because you're like the first one. Every time you say you're like there is someone, you say no, there is someone before it. Like no, what they call it, the Chinese box. Have you ever heard that? Chinese box, something that keeps developing with no beginning. Okay, maybe in literature, you're like not in that. But there is no beginning for something like to exist. Because every time you say, oh, there is one. Okay, did he give the order? No, there was someone before him. Was someone more. Like if we are in a circle, sitting in a circle, imagine that you are sitting in a circle, and I say, okay, no one will stand up, do anything until he takes a permission or order from the one who's sitting to his left. And everybody's looking to his left side, saying, I'm waiting for you to say something. He cannot say something because he has to wait to the one who's sitting in his left side. Right? Give him the order. Then the other one, you're like, he's looking to the one who's tell me something. He says, I cannot, because the one who's my left side, you're like, has to tell me something. Then you go around in the circle, then nothing will happen. Does that make sense? So God, you're like, was waiting for another God to create him, then another one to create him. You're like, this doesn't exist. The universe itself will not come to existence. Does that make sense a little bit? Okay. Let's stop here. جزاكم الله خير. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد. بارك الله فيكم.